It also comes just one day after Georgia election officials announced that they are looking into potential violations of election law ahead of those runoff elections. Georgia's Secretary of State says more than 250 cases are under investigation, including attempts to register people who are ineligible to vote. NewsNation correspondent Brian Enton is live in Atlanta for us once again tonight. He spent the day trying to get some answers from the groups accused of wrongdoing. Brian.
Yeah, Marnie, there is a lot at stake when it comes to these Senate runoffs in Georgia. They could literally decide who controls the U.S. Senate, Democrats or Republicans. And there are these outside nonprofit groups coming into the state to try and get voters to register. The Secretary of State here in Georgia says some of what they're doing could be illegal. We tried to track down some of these groups, but found out today it's not so easy.
I'm announcing an investigation into third-party groups.
On Monday, Georgia Secretary of State Republican Brad Raffensperger said his office is looking into nonprofit organizations set up to register people to vote. Raffensperger says several organizations are sending applications to dead people, to people out of state, and convincing college students to change their residency so they can vote in the upcoming 2 Senate runoffs. Among the groups under investigation is the New Georgia Project, started by Democrat powerhouse Stacey Abrams. Today, the Secretary of State said they were receiving even more evidence about that organization.
Since the announcement of our investigation yesterday, we have had additional information coming in regarding the tactics from these groups, including the New Georgia Project, sending 5 voter registrations to the same dead person and sending applications to ineligible voters.
The New Georgia Project raised $1.9 million in revenue as of last year, much of which comes from donations. They emailed NewsNation a statement that says Brad Raffensperger, Georgia's Republican Secretary of State, resurrected a tired and false claim against the New Georgia Project's legitimate efforts to register eligible Georgians to participate in elections. But they did not respond to the specific allegations.
Hi, this is Brian Enton with NewsNation.
I called them and was told to send another email to request an interview. A direct messaged the CEO on Twitter, but didn't get a response, so we went looking for their office.
So the first address we found on the website took us here to this UPS store.
The suite number is actually this mailbox. Another address listed on their corporate records turned out to be this closed downtown Atlanta hotel. So we moved on to the next voter registration group the Secretary of State is calling out, called America Votes. They had $12 million in revenue as of 2018 and also accept donations.
We have opened an investigation into a group called America Votes, who is sending absentee ballot applications to people at addresses where they have not lived since 1994.
America Votes sent us a statement that says they mailed registered voters in Georgia applications to safely and securely vote by mail in the January runoffs. These mailings were sent to the list of registered voters maintained by the Secretary of State. But America Votes did not respond to the specific allegations that they sent registrations to voter addresses from 26 years ago. Also didn't respond to our request for an interview. So I found their corporate records and discovered they actually have a physical address in Marietta, Georgia. We drove 28 miles outside Atlanta to Marietta to find the America Votes Georgia location listed on the corporate records. I'm looking for 2985 Gordy Parkway.
This is Gordy Parkway.
America Votes?
America Votes?
America Votes?
Not that I know of.
You don't know of them?
No, sir.
Their office isn't here?
No, not that I know.
Despite the investigations into the nonprofit voter registration organizations, Georgia State University political science professor Daniel Franklin says he does not think they're actually encouraging people out of state to register to vote, but he's not surprised the Republican Secretary of State is calling them out.
High turnout elections favor the Democrats. And so the Democrats are always trying to register voters. And the Republicans would argue a lot of times that registration drives are skirt the edge of the law. The Republicans, the Democrats think, are trying to suppress the vote by putting up obstacles to voting. And so it's really part of the campaign.
And there are 2 other groups that the Georgia Secretary of State is actively investigating right now. One is called Vote Forward. They sent us a statement today that said they have only sent letters to Georgia addresses and that they rely on a third-party vendor to get voter information. And there is a 4th group also called Operation New Voter Registration Georgia. That one is perhaps the most interesting because there's literally no information you can find on that group. They don't have a website and they are not listed in any of the state's corporate corporate or nonprofit records. Live in Atlanta, Brian Entin, News Nation.